Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And I'm spiritual medium Kelly White.
And John, how are you today?
Hey, ladies, I am happy that Mercury is finally going direct tonight. How are you?
Hopefully
bet
we
you
won't have
are.
any issues today.
Well, we will, because
Yeah.
it's not direct yet. But before we even get into that, Shirley, happy birthday. Almost.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Shirley.
Thank you so much. It's tomorrow, and you both know what I did this weekend.
Oh, you went to see Barry.
I sure
Okay.
did, because
That's
he's
right.
adorable.
Yep, she sure
Oh.
did. Even though I said, Shirley, what are you doing going to Las Vegas? Don't do it.
Because of the virus, I
Yes.
said, oh, no. This little virus is not going to keep me away from
That's
my
what she
Barry.
said. That's what
Oh.
she said. It was like a whole deal
It
here.
was,
Yeah.
he was so good. He was
Was he
so
good?
adorable. Oh, it just took my breath away. Just took my breath away. Yeah. And I met this girl sitting next to me who goes every weekend. Oh, you heard me. Every weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Real
I thought
fan
I
of
was a
Lowe's.
fan. Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
fan of Lowe's.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was so fun. And then we hung out and we met some of his band members, which some of them know Don. I mean, it was so fun. I was so glad that I went.
Yay. And you know what I did?
Huh.
And I went to see my little brher Theo,
That's right.
which
That's
was
right. He's
amazing.
fantastic.
He's
He's got-
fantastic.
He's an old soul. Why don't you tell people
Yeah,
listening
John,
who
we'll
he
have
is?
to print or put up some
Yeah.
of his
He
music. but
is such an old soul. I mean,
Yeah.
you hear it in the way he sings and his,
Yeah.
he's lovely.
He's my youngest brother, Theo Katzman, Katzman. You'll have to look him up. And
Yeah.
he sells out all over the country and all over the world, actually.
Adorable.
He's
And
extraordinary.
He's such a nice guy.
And
Oh
he's
my
going to be a
God.
guest on our show too, after
I
he gets done
know.
with the tour and he rests and all of that.
Yeah,
But
that's exciting.
we'll post some of his music because it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, let's start before we have this incredible guest tonight. Incredible guest tonight.
Yeah,
But
we sure
before
do.
we go into that, I'm going to talk a little bit astrologically of what's going on right now, because what a time we're in.
Please do. Yeah.
Oh dear. So we have two things actually just today that are going on. Frankly, we're just going to do today because we don't have time to do the month. But
Okay.
there's a full moon in Virgo tonight. This is a huge deal because Virgo is a symbol of a person who doesn't need anyone or anything to be complete. It's the last in the personal signs, and its role is to master individuation. And so that's why Virgos are obsessed with personal development. Hence, I am. I mean, I'm like a
Yes,
freak of
you are.
nature with it.
Yeah.
And they're always wanting everybody to get healthy and to do the right thing. And this is the sign of Virgo. So interesting, this full moon in Virgo, everything has a balancing act to it. And the balancing act of Virgo is Pisces. Shirley is a Pisces. I'm a Virgo. John is a Pisces. I'm a Virgo. So
Right.
it's a really interesting yin and yang type of a balance that we're doing. And this full moon right now, literally, even though it's in Virgo, you're going to feel the Piscean energy here, and you're going to try to find common ground here. And in fact, as you were going to Las Vegas, I was saying, no, don't go, the coronavirus. And you were like, I'm going. So, I mean, it was a real interesting, this is exactly it. Oh my God. But so Virgo means order. And so this full moon means order. And Pisces, again, we have to go to the opposite of it, means chaos. So we are trying to get order in a chaotic time. I mean, this is a very, very chaotic time. And it's interesting too, because in Pisces, it's ruled by Neptune, which is the hidden. So right now, there are hidden situations that are coming to light, and this full moon is going to bring a lot to light regarding this virus. And this full moon is really going to ask us to go inward and do the work on our own selves. If it's something you have to purify and cleanse, this is the time to do it. Whether it's your health or your environment or anything that has been chaos in your mind, anything that has been, like in your head, that you know something's off, this is the time that it will be highlighted actually. So it's going to be a very I'm going to say it's an intense time. It's going to be intense for
Yeah.
some period of time. We're not going away yet. And the other thing about this time that's really, really important is Mercury finally goes direct this evening in Aquarius. But just because it's really stationary right now, it doesn't really just go woo and turn around. It doesn't work that way. It goes slowly and slowly. So you're going to feel the after effects for several days now. This isn't just a once and done. This takes several days. But the piece about that's important to know is because it's in Aquarius, it's going to allow us time to wrap our minds around what's going on, not just the coronavirus, but everything in our life. And you're going to begin to get a better idea of how to move forward with ideas and dreams and everything you want to accomplish. So this is a really important time for that. So take good care of yourself, settle in, and take good care of yourself.
Yeah.
So
That's always good advice.
So having said that, we have an incredible guest that Shirley's going to
Yes.
bring out.
That will help us and show us how to take good care of ourselves. Dr. Steven Stiteler. He's a state licensed acupuncturist and holds doctoral degrees in Oriental medicine, neuropathic medicine, and homeopathy. For the past 30 years, he's utilized specific diets, nutritional supplementation, Chinese herbs, acupuncture, Bach flower essences, and clinical homeopathy to help balance the biochemical foundation of the body. He's a creator of a leading-edge metabolic testing system known as the Integra Urinalysis System. I really want him to tell us about that.
Yeah.
Over the past 20 years, he has taught thousands of health practitioners how to use this system to evaluate and correct fundamental metabolic imbalances in their patients. His principle-centered approach helps determine which underlying causes are contributing to poor health. He's dedicated his life to relieving the suffering of his patients, and we are so happy that he's here today. And how apropos, given what's going on, right? Hello, how are you?
Good evening.
Hi, Dr. Stiteler.
Good to see you.
I just want to throw one thing in here. Dr. Stiteler is my holistic doctor, my favorite doctor of all time. My mother, who was brilliant, used to say, the most brilliant man she ever knew was Dr. Stiteler. So I just want to throw that out.
And
Thank you
me
so
too,
much.
by the way. So we are both patients and converts.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this kind of healing modality or yeah.
Oh dear. It began when I was 13.
Oh wow.
I had rheumatic heart disease,
Oh.
and they told me I would never exercise again, and they gave me some antibiotics. And the next thing I knew, I was out of my body, watching them do compression therapy on my chest.
Oh my goodness! At 13.
I had this extraordinary experience, and then I was back in my body again. And
Wow.
at that point, I just said no more antibiotics, and I began studying herbs and yoga and vegetarianism and all these things. This is way back in 1960. My buddies thought I was crazy, and but I never got pimples, never got bronchitis through high school and all of that. And then when I went to college, I got through my bachelor's degree, and then I got drafted to go in the Army. And by chance, someone talked about a way to maybe get out of that. And by fooling the system to think that I've got diabetes. And it worked. And I didn't go into the Army, but it really got me interested in medicine.
Wow.
But I decided to go into a different direction, and I started studying acupressure and herbs and things like this. And eventually it just evolved into an acupuncture license, and I never stopped studying. And what I'm after is, where does all this come from? Why do we get sick? And what's the trail of events that takes place with it? So that's basically how I got into it.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Wow.
You talk about a life-changing experience at such a young age.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about what do you think about this coronavirus?
It's an interesting virus in that I was in a conversation online with some doctors of Chinese medicine in China. And they said it doesn't fit the normal patterns of how viruses work.
Hmm.
It's different. There is some talk that maybe it's been synthesized. We don't know if that's for real or not, that maybe it's not natural. But it's...
Is that what synthesized means?
Yeah, it means that men got a hold of some viruses and changed them. Maybe
Oh.
for purposes of weapons or things like that. We really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It goes through the system very, very rapidly. So people go through a lot of different symptoms very rapidly. It's hard to pinpoint it. And it causes a lot of fluid buildup in the lungs. And because of this, people actually die from pneumonia, not from the virus itself. So the target really is to protect your lungs, to protect your immune system. It tends to affect men much more than women. Young children are pretty safe as well. And now it turns out there's 2 strains of it. One of them very virulent, the one we've been hearing about, and one that's not as bad. The one in Italy is not quite as bad. It's a modified version of the first one. The question is, how is it modifying? And because there's no history of it, we don't know what to expect in terms of its lifespan or its cycle. Why countries are really taking strong precautions. For example, Italy has basically isolated northern Italy. People cannot go in and people cannot leave. And go
Wow.
Right now, it's absolutely shut down. You can go to your homes and you can go around your city, but you can't leave and go to other vicinities until we understand how this really works. It does have a fairly high mortality rate compared to flu. When people get the flu, we get it by the millions and a few people die. It's really about 0.0005% of people actually die from it. But this one is 3% of the population. So it's an unknown, is what it is. They have discovered, in China at least, is that it causes this fluid buildup, and there's some herbs and things like this that can be used to help protect you from it.
So to use as a preventative, not after you have the symptoms.
Both. There's definitely good preventatives.
Okay.
There's herbs that can help if you do get it.
Okay. So you'll let us, let us know what those are. Now, Nancy has a question. I have an autoimmune disease, so would it be safe, smart to fly?
Well, Nancy, in terms of the autoimmune factor, I don't think it's going to make a difference with this particular virus.
Oh, interesting.
It's not going to be safe for anybody in the terms of maybe contracting it. If you've got good, strong lungs and your autoimmune condition's not affecting your lungs, you should be fine. But the real key with it is to create barriers. One of them is going to be very, very clean hands as often as possible. So when you travel, you should have something. If you've got some hand sanitizer gels, you're lucky because they're sold out everywhere right now.
Yeah.
What I'm recommending in place of that, if you can't get the sanitizer gels, is full-strength hydrogen peroxide in a spray bottle. Though some people say it may not be as good, right now we just don't have it around. People just have stockpiled it and it's gone. If you go to Costco or Target or wherever, you won't find it on the shelf right now. So the next best thing, at least, is this hydrogen peroxide. I'll bring a bottle of that. Disposable gloves, for sure. And this goes for everyone listening. When you go to any place that's a public situation, whether it's going to your local market or to a restaurant or to a theater, it's best if you've got some types of sanitizing wipes to wipe down areas around you. wearing some disposable gloves, and as soon as you leave wherever you're at, you put them in the trash, a little bit of the sanitizer or the hydrogen peroxide on your hands and around your mouth a little bit. It's not an airborne virus. You have to come in contact with a person's sputum when they sneeze, when they cough. And a mask is not going to help you. It only helps people who have it from spreading it outward.
Oh, that's interesting.
To keep your hands clean. And here's the hard one. Don't touch your face when you're out in public, because your hands will then bring it into contact with your mucus area. It could put it into your body.
How long does it stay alive? Like if you were to touch something that someone else has touched who has it?
That's an interesting thing about it too, at least 10 days.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you have common
Wow.
illnesses, if you've got partners who go out to work and you go someplace else and you come back, make sure you keep the common areas, your countertops, the bathrooms, the doorknobs, as clean as possible, so you're not bringing it to each other.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the best thing to do. The next best thing to do is to use herbal formulas that are high in mushrooms, different types of mushrooms. So the product I have is called 7 mushrooms. And the mushrooms have polysaccharides in them that are very, very powerful natural killer cell stimulants. So they really sort of put your immune system on hypervigilance, you might say.
Huh.
So the stronger your immune system is to begin with, the better. The other thing is to keep fluid from building up in your body before you get the virus, because the virus is going to make more fluid, and that's its danger. The people die from fluid building up in the lungs. So one way to do that is to keep your carbohydrate consumption way down, particularly what we call false carbohydrates, junk foods, chips, crackers, anything that's sweet, that has corn syrup in it, anything like that. Because your body deals with those substances naturally by surrounding it with fluid, trying to dilute it. That fluid that you already have will put you at a little bit higher risk if you get the virus, because it causes fluid as well. So
that is so interesting.
A very lean diet, a lot of vegetables, protein, a little bit of good whole grains, but nothing in the way of sweets and desserts and chips and things like that. So those are good things to do to prevent. The other is to keep your exercise high. The more you exercise and sweat, the stronger your immune system gets. The other thing that would be good would be saunas. Saunas tend to dry us out a little bit, which is to our benefit. This virus likes the cold weather. So the sooner we get into the hot weather months, it's likely going to see the whole cycle plummet. We have no more history on it than that, though. So they really don't know what to expect, which is why they're taking every precaution possible right now.
Are there any vitamins that you would suggest, like extra vitamin C?
Yes, actually, I would suggest you take vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day.
Wow.
Now, it's a water-soluble vitamin. It won't hurt you. You can always tell when you're taking too much vitamin C. You get a little bit of loose stool, a little bit of diarrhea. That's the worst thing that happens from it.
Okay.
The second would be vitamin A and vitamin D. All those are very strong stimulant types of vitamins. Zinc would be good as well, and maybe some selenium. Now, we don't know to what extent this is going to help. It just makes sense to get as strong as possible.
Yeah.
So we'll know in the next month just how well we're doing as a population here.
Wow.
It's growing rapidly.
Yeah.
You're going to see that the mortality rate here is going to be much better than it was in China or Iran. So the World Health Organization has it at 3.5% mortality. But that was based upon those two medical systems, which is not, they're just not as organized as we are. Plus, we've had the advantage of watching what they're doing and preparing for it. So the likelihood is we'll do okay. It's just a nasty virus.
Wow.
Okay, fine. So
Wow.
herbs that are particularly high in mushrooms, herbal formulas, are your best bet to enhance your immune system.
Mm.
And the nice thing about them, if they happen to be in a tincture liquid form, that they taste okay too. They're not real bitter or anything like that.
Well, I've been taking your tinctures for several years, and I'm rarely sick. Surely they're extraordinary, and I think that we have some sort of offer that we're gonna have on our site that we have your products.
Yeah, I'll give people access to getting them.
Okay,
If that's their choice, I'd be happy to get them for them.
that would be
Thank
great.
you.
And so also then the next part of it is what do you do if you do get sick?
Right.
Okay. So, excuse me. It's a very rapidly moving set of symptoms. So people can go into very high fevers, get chills, and eventually causes what the Chinese medicine doctors call damp toxins, which is the virus causing all this fluid buildup in the system. So there's different herbal formulas for each step of the way, but I've put one together called Immune Supreme, which we'll show that later here too, or make it available to you. That's not to be used prevention-wise, but in the event you start getting sick, it's a very strong viral antimicrobial, antiviral. And then there's a little homeopathic remedy, a couple of them actually. One of them is called Flumax Pro. There's the Immune Supreme. Those are the herbs in it. There's your Latin names on the left. Do you know what propolis is on the bottom?
No.
That's the glue that comes from bees that they seal over the egg chambers after the queen has left an egg, and no microbes can get through it to get to the eggs.
Wow.
Very powerful. And then there's different other herbs in there that stimulate the immune system as well. There's echinacea, which you're familiar with, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Astragalus is another major one from China for the immune system. Cat's claw is wonderful as an antiviral. So it's a good formula.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the immune system at the same time as trying to work on the virus itself. There's a little remedy in there called Flumax Pro, which has a set of homeopathic remedies in there that work on the type of symptoms that would show up near the beginning stages of the coronavirus. So on the left there, you're going to see several forms of homeopathic versions of the flu. So this is good for the good old flu as well. But on the right side are all these different homeopathic remedies that are good for very specific symptoms, chills and fever and coughing, just feeling overall weakened, sore muscles, things that we're all familiar with from the flu. They're all in there together.
Yeah.
So these are things that can be used if you could get them just as a protection. The ideal would be to have them around in case someone you know or you get ill. This is what I would start on right away.
Okay. On both of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're very easy to take. The Immune Supreme is strong tasting, but it'll almost scare the viruses away. Good stuff.
That's very funny.
Okay. So that was basically, here's some of the symptoms. Very good. You can see all kinds of symptoms with it. And the longer it's in the body, the colder the patient gets. And then the fluid starts up. They'll start out with a high fever and then chills, and they get colder and weaker. And then the fluid builds up in the lungs. And this is the real risk factor for it. Who have ongoing respiratory symptoms or respiratory challenges are going to be a little bit higher risk. So the best way is to, like I said, keep that barrier in public. people you don't know. Don't shake hands. Don't hug people. Even the loved ones who come home from a long day at work, make sure that they get their sanitizers in place first. Maybe even take a shower before you do any hugging and snuggling. Just not sharing it.
Does it stay on your clothes?
It's a good question. Probably it does. Technically speaking, when someone coughs or sneezes with this particular virus, it has a radius of up to 8 meters. That's about 25 feet.
Oh
So
my God.
someone standing in the check stand line, two or three people back, could actually saturate you with little micro droplets. Now, they don't go straight into you. You'd have to get them on your hands and then somehow touch your face just inadvertently. And that's how it spreads. That's how it goes into your system.
So they can be on you, but not necessarily, you won't necessarily get it unless
That's
you
right. That's right.
touch. Yeah.
There you are. Avoid contact as much as possible.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, for those people that it doesn't kill, is it then flu symptoms and then you eventually heal from it like you would from the flu?
yeah, you have two immune systems. You have one called the adaptive immune system, which you inherited from your ancestry. For all of us with European background, we have tuberculosis antibodies, we have pneumonia antibodies, and all these built in. But if we were to go over to India and drink some water out of the Ganges River, we'd get sick within a day or two very badly with dysentery. But then in the process of that, our body has an adaptive immune system that begins to manufacture new antibodies. But it takes time. It takes a few days. And then it has to fight back. That's why it takes you days to get over something like dysentery. And the same thing will happen with corona because there's no ancestral antibodies that any of us have received. We all have flu antibodies from having it in the past or our family members, our ancestry having it. So that's why we get through them pretty quickly. And the death rate is very, 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 very low, 0.0005%. It's not likely to kill you if you get the flu. But this one, the body doesn't know quite what to do with it, so it has to manufacture these new antibodies. It takes some time, and during that time, this is working so fast in the body, creating fluid buildup that you could possibly expire because of that. See, so it's best just to not get it. The best way is to, for the time being, don't socialize too much outside. Know who you're going to be with, and so you know really what's going on. We don't have enough data to understand the cycle of this flu yet. I do know, though, that these Chinese herbs that I'm referring to have been used in China effectively against it, and they're getting some good results with it. So it's not like you're going to get better the next day, but you're likely to make it through. That's it. And so the best way, of course, is just don't get it.
Wow.
You really have to maintain some vigilance, disposable gloves if you're going to the market, and just pay attention. Is it in your area? Or Kelly, I doubt you have too many people with coronavirus. But
Probably
in Los Angeles,
not.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we've got 30 or 40 cases here in Los Angeles County right now. So they're in medical emergency mode. They're going to do their best to control this. So that's basically the best way to protect yourself.
Wow. Gosh.
Wow.
That's extraordinary. Thank you so much for all that information.
Sure.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, from a spiritual standpoint, Cal, what's your take on what might be going on?
Well, I think that this really is a time it's a time to wake up. So waking up means dealing with whatever it has been kind of, it's about, let me say it this way. It's about looking at not having fear, but being, going inward. And I guess, dealing with what you need to work on, whatever you need to work on, and not going unconscious. This is not a time to go unconscious. It's a time to really stay very fully present in the body, spiritually, it's mind, body, and soul. And no, I believe we all get through this, but it is a particular time, surely, in the universe for this. And, we'll see as we go.
I would like to say something more here. This is not like the Black Plague.
Okay.
People are going to be dying in the millions.
Okay.
It's just not. For a lot of reasons, that's not the case. This, at worst, has a 3% mortality rate, at the very worst, in countries that don't have very, very efficient medical systems. So I don't want people to get so alarmed that they won't leave the house, but just take precautions.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, originally we had Dr. Stiteler on because we wanted to talk about remote healing.
Yes.
And
that's right.
I do want to get into the remote healing because what happened was I've been working with Dr. Stiteler for many, many years at this point. I was doing a session with him, and he was doing a Zoom session with me, which was great. And he said at the very end of the session, he said to me, "Do you have any pain?" And I said, "Matter of fact, I do. I fell 6 months ago, and I have a terrible thumb. I couldn't move my thumb." And actually was going to go. I thought, well, I better have, get it. I don't know, see another doctor. There's something the matter with it. So he said, "Do I have your permission to do remote healing?" I said, "Sure." And then I can tell you, I'm astounded by this. Within less than, I just think I went to bed. The next day I woke up and look, I'm moving my thumb and I just can't get over the difference in it. I can't get over it. So I said, and then Shirley, you saw him. I told Shirley about the story.
Yeah. So I went, and it's pretty remarkable. And you're so conscious about it. You're always asking permission, and if you have to change the protocol of the remote healing, which you'll let us know what that means, you always ask. And I think that that's so respectful, and it makes you feel very safe in what it is that you're doing. So can you tell us a little bit about remote healing? Because I just said do it because, of course, whatever Kelly tells me, I completely trust. So I just said do it, but I didn't even ask you. And my left brain curious mind really wants to know, what that's about.
Well, I should probably start out about how I got into this.
Yeah.
This is about 15, 20 years ago. I was on my way. I was in a flight to Australia, and I was reading a book. And the book was called The Field, and it's by Lynn McTaggart. And the field she was referring to is now known as the quantum field by science. And basically, the science has proven that it exists. This quantum field is a connective field. Everything is interconnected through it. In fact, in the book, they say, look, some people call it spirit, some people call it God, whatever that connective is to you. Well, science basically has said, yes, it exists.
Yeah.
It exists where all electrons touch each other at one point or another, no matter where they are in the universe. When you affect one, it affects the other one that it touched at some other point. Everything is interconnected, and it's independent of space and time. Somehow, when I heard this, something inside me just woke up about it. Because I'm pretty evidence-based. I do a lot of scientific part of it. You might want to call that left brain. But I have a pretty strong intuitive side, and it just kicked in. And they both met and said, in agreement. There was agreement that scientifically it's there. And in Chinese medicine, they have a term called Yi. It sounds like long E. It's spelled Y-I. They don't call it Yi, it's actually E. And E, it means focused intention. And so in the book, they talk about that. They did a lot of experiments with it, how things can change. You can actually modify things through intention. And they had very specific scientific experiments listed in the book. Well, on this plane, I read the whole book and I was just opened up. I got to Australia. This was before smartphones. So I had to go to a cyber cafe to log in, see what's going on in my internet world. And about 6 of my patients had come down with the flu. And I said, well, okay, is it okay if I treat you from here? And they said, sure. And I was literally sitting on a beach with a little needle, putting it into my hand in different areas, saying, oh, I'm treating Kelly right now for the flu. And then after that, I'll be treating Shirley for the flu. And I did this kind of hour after hour. Everybody got better very quickly. And that's kind of where it began with me. And so it's been my experience that we're working with something very, very big, large, much bigger than us. And I needed some type of a framework or template to work through. And that's what the acupuncture meridian system has done for me. So that's my means of using it. Other shamans can do it with other entry into it, using the same field, but they might and get effect, but they do it with prayer, they do it with drumming, or they do it with something like that. This happens to be the way I do it. My acupuncture studies go back 40 years, so it's kind of built in for me. I can usually tell what's going on with a person before I even touch them. It's almost like a musician who has been playing music so long they don't even have to look at the instrument. And they just play, and something comes through them as they're doing that. And that's what it's like for me. It just became my medium for doing it. And I use a form of acupuncture that uses only magnets when someone comes to see me. And it's done through this microsystem of only on the hand to create the entire body. So basically, I have a diagram of a hand, and I'll mark areas on it that I'm treating with someone's name, such as I'm treating Shirley. I'm going to treat Shirley for these conditions. And I can focus on that. And it works. And the reason it works isn't because I have some highly developed power. Somebody just woke up and just accepted the fact that this exists. That's really what it was. It wasn't, it's not some voodoo that I have some power that you don't have. It's just that I somehow got it. And from that, I don't have any choice but to offer it. That's what it's about for me. For me, this medicine that I practice is a sacred trust. And that's how I use it. And it must be used. It's not for me to not use it, really. It's not mine, is what it feels like. It's something bigger than that. So it's a very respectful place that I come from whenever I use it. So that's basically what I do. And I have a lot of fun with it. It's fun to treat somebody, and even through video like this, and they go, "Wow!"
I was just blown away by it.
I mean, it's quite amazing.
Don couldn't believe it either. The next morning, he said, "What's going? How's that?" I said, "It must be the same way that I do mediumship. It doesn't matter if I wherever I am, I can do it. It doesn't matter where the person is. I mean, energy is energy. But to have the experience just blew me away. Now, John, we have a caller.
We sure do. Yes.
Okay.
Let's get Marguerite on the line.
Yes.
Hi, Marguerite.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Marguerite. How can we help you tonight?
Yes. 4 weeks ago, I'm a healthy lady, and 4 weeks ago, somehow my blood pressure went up to 200 over 90, and I was told that I should go to the emergency room. And since then, I have gotten it down even today to 115 over 70. But when I wake up in the morning, It's always around 145 over 80, but then during the day when I get active, it goes down. But the only thing, and the two doctors said that I was healthy and everything, but the only thing that's very unusual, because I've been living in my body for 64 and a half years, is that I hear a pulsating between my ears, like a almost like a heartbeat or a blood pressure, and I've never had that in my life before. And that has not gone away in the 4 weeks that I had that one episode. So I wondered if the doctor has any protocol for what is going on with my body.
This is something I see a lot of, Marguerite. And
yeah,
questions I have for you is, were you under a lot of stress prior to this 200 plus blood pressure reading you had?
I believe I was under some emotional stress. Yes, I do believe yes.
There's been
Emotional stress.
I see it a lot where some of us will tend to work out our stress at night while we're sleeping. And this is why they'll wake up with an elevated blood pressure. We're producing a lot of adrenaline or a lot of cortisol. What we call this, the doctors are going to call this essential hypertension. And what that basically means, you don't have a bad heart or a bad kidney or lungs or liver that could contribute to blood pressure. It's good to make sure that's the case, that you don't have any areas of that, but typically this is going to be essential. And the word essential basically means we don't know what's causing it. But we can give you some drugs to lower your blood pressure. But see, you can lower it. The fact that you can lower it means to me it's not coming from a bad organ, a sick organ. Bad heart. You couldn't get your blood pressure back down to 115 over 70 by itself. But the fact that it goes back up at night, so when you wake up, you have this elevated blood pressure, typically means the nervous system is the area it's taking place. There's some really easy treatments for that. One of them would be for you before bedtime to lie down on your back with your legs propped up over a chair or cushions, so that, and lie there for about 20 minutes. This is going to put you into what we call parasympathetic state. And that usually keeps the blood pressure very low. When we are conflicted with something, such as stress that we're still working out, it puts us into the sympathetic nervous system state, which automatically closes down the blood vessels, constricts them. That's going to cause your blood pressure to go up. So getting deeply relaxed is going to be a big part of that. The other thing, of course, is I can do these treatments we've talked about here to help bring your blood pressure down. If that's the case, you can call me or email me, and we can arrange for that. But I'd like you to try that relaxation pose first and see if that's enough just to keep your blood pressure down while you go through your sleep. Is your sleep interrupted very much?
It is. I do get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night one time, but I go right back to sleep though. But what's been alarming me, doctor, is that when I wake up to go to the bathroom, I feel that pulsating that I was talking to you, like between my ears, and that's so scary. And then I sit up and I deep breathe to relax that pulsing that's in my head. So it scared me, thinking that, is there an artery that, being clogged? And the lady checked my carotid artery, and she says that it's flowing beautifully. But I was concerned because my mother did have a stroke when her carotid artery was 90% clogged, and the doctor didn't check it. But this
And
is
yet,
the first time having this problem.
and yet, if you do some deep breathing, your blood pressure comes back down again.
It does. It
And you don't
does.
feel that surging like you were. So it really says again to me that it is your nervous system that needs to be addressed, to be focused on.
Okay.
Good news in some ways. That means it's not your heart. See?
No, yeah, very good. So that pulsating, you believe it's my nervous system that's overexcited.
I do. I think so. And
Okay.
it's because you very quickly,
I've never had that.
because you can very quickly reduce it back down again through something that relaxes your nervous system.
Right. Yes.
So-
I'm very blessed that it goes back down. Yes.
Whatever the stress phase was before that incident where it was at 200 on your blood pressure, is that stress factor being resolved?
Yes, it is. I was awakened enough to see that was causing me. I believe that was part of it. I didn't know completely, but I have removed myself from that environment and moved away. And now I am feeling better, but I still at night I have that, and I have had a couple bad dreams, and so I do feel that you've hit it on the head with your intuition that it's my nervous system at night when I go lay down. So I will try that exercise.
Okay.
Thank you so very much.
Thanks so much
Sure.
for calling, Marguerite.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for calling.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You know, Dr. Stiteler, when you checked my urine and you came back and you said that my nervous system, that an average person's nervous system is like between 8 and 12, and mine was at 24. And that was because as a medium, I bring in a lot of energy. And so all the mediums out there and all the empaths out there that do this work, pay attention here. Can you talk about the nervous system in regards to that?
In regards to being a medium,
No, well, yeah, as regards to being a medium, yes.
it's been
Or
my
empath.
experience with mediums that they run a lot of energy through them.
Mhm.
See, it's it's kind of romantic thinking that, gosh, if I was a medium, I could get all this more information. But it's a burden.
Mhm.
It's a physical body,
Mhm.
and it's important that you have time to relax, time to let go, whatever it takes to do that, whether it's massage or walking in the woods or that restorative pose, lying down with your legs elevated. These are very, very powerful tools and essential for people who are mediums. Or even, people who are health practitioners of any kind.
Yeah.
We carry a burden. That burden is our care for other people, particularly when they're challenged. And it's not always resolving easily. See, so it's important to have ways to decompress, I guess.
Yeah.
Regular vacations.
Mhm.
I have a standing joke with my patients. You need 6 weeks in Tahiti to take care of your problems. And there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
That restorative pose is what I have them do twice a day as a beginning way of releasing that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about the urine analysis and what you look for, how that works.
It's a series of tests that I developed myself over a lot of research over many years. Over this past 20th century, a lot of doctors came up with a specific test, how to test the adrenals. Another doctor was how to test for vitamin C in the urine. Another one would have been how to test for malabsorption in the gut. But nobody put them all together in one place, which is what I've done. From this, I can look at what are some of the primary forces behind a person's ill health. It's one thing to get a blood work and they say, well, you've got diabetes and you've got metabolic syndrome and you've got high cholesterol and high blood pressure. But they don't answer why. They answer what. And they say, well, you ask them, why do I have that? And they, well, we're not sure, but take these medications and we'll keep it under control for you, which to an extent helps. But it doesn't address the primary causes behind this. So it's really important to find those core issues. And the urine test lets me do that. I can look at your nervous system, your malabsorption levels, look at your adrenals, how oxidized your system is, how well you're digesting both in the upper and lower GI, how well your kidneys and liver are clearing waste out of your system, all in one place.
Wow.
It's a little bit different than what shows up in a blood test. It shows that the elements that are there that are causing the disturbances, as opposed to the end state, which is, oh, you have a tumor or something like that. Those are important when you have those. But how do we arrive at those places? And really, number one that shows up in my test is sympathetic nervous system stress, which has a core fear element to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in my field with somatic experiencing therapy, it's when the body is stuck in that fight, flight, or freeze, sometimes even in the collapse state. And so dealing with the symptoms, again, is helpful, but what caused them in the first place and working there.
That's where I like to work the most.
Yeah.
It's much more gratifying to me.
Oh, yeah.
When I see people really begin to shift.
And I know with you, if somebody wants to see you, and if they don't live in Los Angeles, they can, you have a kit that you mail out to them, right? And then they can use the kit and mail it back to you.
I have people all over the country I work with that I've never met. I do want to see, a history, a health history form. I email it to them. I don't want to see any blood work or any relevant imaging, if that's the degree of illness that they have. And then I send out a urine kit. And the other thing I do is I want clear photos of both the top and the bottom of their tongue.
Yeah.
It's a whole art of diagnosis that the Chinese taught me. I can tell a lot about what's going on and how much of it is hidden.
Yeah, say a little bit about that, because when you looked at my tongue and then you were able to say a few things, that was fascinating to me.
Yeah. So the top of the tongue tells me how they're operating out here. A lot of coating of the tongue will tell me they're not digesting well. Certain cracks in the tongue will tell me which organs are involved with that. The color of the tongue tells me whether the system's too inflamed or too hypofunctioning and they're too cold. So this helps me put together ideas about which herbs to use and which homeopathic remedies. But the fascinating part to me is the bottom, the sublingual or bottom side of the tongue. Even within my profession, not a lot of people are expert at it. I've spent a lot of time with it though, and there are different terms for this. In homeopathy, we call them miasms, which means disease states that are being held latent in the system by your immune factors. Or in ancient India, they called it sanskara, which are like solidified thought forms. These thought forms can come from your ancestry or things you learned when you were young, severe traumas you've had that are sticking with you. Here now we also call it PTSD. Someone goes through a very major trauma and they think it's resolved, and we find out it's not. But I can see this in the body, and then we can begin to work in different ways to clear this up. So it's an interesting art form, healing art form.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. And we have a call waiting, but just as an example, what is one or two things just to that you would notice from under the tongue that would give you an indication?
When there's something pathological, the body perceives it as pathological. That could be coronavirus. It could be severe, strong emotional states. They're dangerous molecularly to the body. So rather than allow these to get to the organs, they get trapped in certain secondary networks in our body. You might be familiar with the primary networks of the meridians of the body, the acupuncture maps. There's a secondary network deep within. And so things get held there in a state of latency. That shows up on the tongue, usually with dark blue veins. There should be no big, thick veins on the bottom of the tongue. Whenever I see those, I know there's something being held in there. Part of the medium that's used to trap that will be blood. The body will actually allocate it and keep it there sometimes for decades. Sometimes we're even born with it.
Wow.
4-year-olds and 5-year-olds with these thick blue veins there. Now, this stuff eventually has to come out. And when we get older and we can't hold it in place anymore, it comes out with a vengeance. It comes out and starts affecting the organs. So I've had people, and they say, God, I turned 60. I can't believe it. I got to get a hip replacement. Now my knee's gone. They tell me I've got a blocked artery. Getting old sucks, and it's not the age. It's the amount of latent material that's in there that can be both emotional or chemical or microbial, for example.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then it'll show up in certain parts of the tongue that in different parts of the body.
Wow. All right. So, John, we have we have another caller.
We do, yeah. We just have a few minutes left, and we have Kathy from New York. Hi, Kathy.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Kathy. Hi.
Hi,
Kathy.
Good. How can we help you?
I was just curious if you could tell me, I vibrate internally, upper body pretty much, like directly in my back. And it shoots like right sharp shooting nerve pain after that.
Kathy, has a neurologist looked at you?
Wondering, I'm sorry?
Has a neurologist checked you?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
He's asking if a neurologist has checked you.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, she's been to about every.
Yeah, there you go, John. You could tell him.
Yeah, she's seen almost every specialist and doctor out there.
Okay. And what do they say? No, there's nothing there?
They say, oh, it's your central nervous system and have some Xanax.
Nice.
Well, they're correct.
And I do homeopathic medicine. So, but every so often I will take the Xanax because it does get very, very strong. It pounds, it races your heart.
It's hard to say what it is, but
nobody seems to know.
I would agree it's your nervous system. But why is still the question here. We don't have that right now. I'd like to have a conversation with you at some point about this. We can't do it now because
I would love to.
Okay. I think John has a copy, a page that'll show my phone number. Or
Yes.
Better yet,
I posted that as the show promo, but I'll also put it up on the screen. It's just going to be smaller on the screen here.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I don't have my phone with me. Okay.
Yeah, but you'll be able to find it on our page. It's definitely there, posted at the top. Okay.
My email's on the bottom. You can start there and we can chat.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And so given those symptoms, Dr. Stiteler, then you can start to break it down and the urine analysis and looking at the tongue and stuff to see more specifically what might be causing it.
Yeah. That's exactly how I would do it.
Yeah.
And you live in New York, is that correct?
After I went vegan.
It happened after you became vegan?
Yes, I went vegan for a very long time, gained a tremendous amount of weight from that, and then boom, that started, and it has not stopped, and I'm having a very hard time losing the weight now. I don't eat enough food is what they're telling me.
I'd love to take a look at your tongue. It'll tell me a lot. So
All right.
we can arrange for that.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks for calling.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hear from you, Kathy. Thank you. All right, so
Thank you.
we have one more person who is saying they're having that same issue with the vibrating. I don't know if it's necessarily the exact same thing, but Elizabeth is mentioning as well. So folks are interested in getting this kit so that they can have a diagnosis or assessment.
If they email me, John,
Yeah,
I'd be happy to get back to them. We can we can discuss getting the kit to them.
okay, great. So we're getting. Tammy says, thank you for all this info. This is Elizabeth. She said, I need you. How can we get it again? They're all asking. So we will get that up there for you. But yes, they're definitely interested in this kit. And then you also had a special promo for us as well, because we're almost out of time, for them to get the herbs and so forth that you suggested earlier.
Yeah, the herbs that we talked about for protection and treatment with corona, I would definitely give them a promo discount.
Okay.
Mentioned the Kelly and Shirley show here.
Yeah.
Great.
And I have to say that it blows, like many things that I'm involved with Kelly and John, blow my mind. But I text you, Dr. Stiteler, once we started working together, and say I'm having these symptoms and that symptoms and these symptoms, and you again very respectfully say, is it okay to treat you? And I say yes, and literally, and I don't feel any vibration in my body. There's some people who do remote Reiki that I have. With you, the symptoms just kind of start to decrease until they're gone, and it's just remarkable. I mean, I try not to spend too much time thinking about it because it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
You know, it really does. And I have that intuitive side too, and Kelly's really helped me kind of expand my right brain, but it really is just quite remarkable.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's very gratifying.
Everybody should have a session,
Yeah.
or
Oh,
5
yeah.
or 10 or 100 with Dr. Stiteler.
Yeah.
He's the best. He's the best.
Yeah.
So
So
I
thank
really
you so much for being on the
yeah.
show.
It's been a pleasure.
Took the words out of my mouth. Yay.
Call me back anytime.
Oh, we will. We will have you back. Thank you
Most
so much.
definitely. Thank you so much.
Take care of yourself.
You too. Bye-bye. And thank you everyone for watching. I hope this has been helpful, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world.